Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us. Please be seated. And for those of you who weren't at the public hearing, I trust everyone's had an opportunity to read our acknowledgement to our friends and neighbors in the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. Enjoy the new art. So I'll call the meeting to order. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Thompson, please.
Thank you. I'll recommend that September 8th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. Any discussion, question? All in favor? Contrary carried. And we'll go to item number 3. We have a request for reconsideration of remedial action 1145 Chartwell. Is there someone here this evening who wishes to address council? Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Natalie Baker. I'm counsel for the owners of the property.
Oh, yes. My name is Cameron Drami, middle son, one of the owners on title.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I don't want to repeat too much of what was already in the written submission, but I did want to just flag a couple things before we deal with the main points of the reconsideration. And to address, so the council was obviously concerned that no one was in attendance the last time. And I just wanted to bring to council's attention that I did alert staff to the fact that I was having major surgery and I was not going to be able to attend, and I asked for an adjournment. And so staff were very much aware of this. And I did notice when I watched the council meeting that when you asked why no one was here, staff said they had no idea, but I did actually seek an adjournment. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. It was also sort of troubling to me that given the consequences of the decision you were making, that when I asked for a very short adjournment just to the beginning of August and asked that a special council meeting perhaps be held, I was told it's not possible in the summer break. And yet I did see that a special council meeting was held in August on a totally different matter. And so this forged ahead, even though there were some difficult circumstances going on in July. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. But nevertheless, we're here today, and I just want to add a few additional points in addition to what hopefully you read in the written submissions that we delivered in advance. And before doing so, I would just like to reiterate that we are not, our clients are not challenging the notice on title. They appreciate and understand that the structure was built without permits and accept that the notice on title remain there until this matter be resolved. So we're just dealing with the reconsideration of the remedial action requirement. The first point I would like to make is the fact that something was done in contravention of a bylaw, which happens all the time, people do make mistakes for whatever reason, does not make it a hazardous condition. It's not just because someone didn't obtain a permit. I mean, that does happen all the time in municipalities, doesn't automatically mean it's a hazardous condition that you're going to issue a remedial action requirement for that, for the removal of that structure. But the other important thing that, and this is not in the written submission, because to be aware of, is that the bylaw you were relying on to find that there was a contravention and thus justifying this remedial action requirement had been repealed. It had been repealed in June before the staff reports were prepared, before this matter came to council. Your building bylaw has been repealed, and that is what you were relying on. And you now have a new building bylaw, which was not addressed in any of your staff reports. And that is a very large omission when you're going to do a remedial action requirement for failure to comply with the bylaw. And the bylaw, while similar, has a number of important differences that you should be aware of, because it does bear on the decision that you're making. For one thing, the new bylaw, an owner is defined somewhat differently now. It includes the prime contractor. And the prime contractor must ensure that all construction is done in compliance with the requirements. And for the purposes of the administration and enforcement of the bylaw, every prime contractor is also responsible jointly and severally with the owner for all the work that's undertaken. Now, I noticed there was a comment in the staff report that dispute between the contractor and my clients is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant under your bylaw. Also some significant changes is that building inspector can require an owner to submit a complete application for a permit for work that has been done or completed without a permit. Another important section. And where construction is commenced before the building inspector issues the permit fee will be doubled to a maximum of $10,000. Now, consistent with the fact that the building bylaw contemplates retroactive approvals subject to increasing permit fees, the district's fees and charges bylaw does the same thing and provides that where there's been a contravention, where work has been done without permits, there's a double fee on it. Now, what is the importance of that? It means that the district's bylaws contemplate that sometimes these things happen and that there is an opportunity to try to fix it. It doesn't just mean that everything gets torn down. If it complies with the zoning and if the permits can be obtained, there's an opportunity to try to fix it. And the permit fees, yes, it's doubled to account for the fact that there might be some challenges with that, but it doesn't mean that building is just, or whatever structure is just automatically removed. So all our clients are asking for at this point is time. And that is a time to try to bring the property into compliance, to apply for the permits that's as contemplated in your own bylaws and the new bylaw that you've since adopted. Before this matter even came to council. So, and that understanding that if permits cannot be obtained, yes, there will be a day where the structure or parts of the structure will be removed. But it's just to have that opportunity to bring it into compliance. So we're asking that council reconsider its decision. Again, it's based on a repealed bylaw and not the new bylaw, and set that decision aside to give our clients an opportunity to apply for those permits, and failing which, then we might be back here at that point, or perhaps they will just do it without having to come to council again. But that's what we are requesting today.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Sir, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to give some, like, the media itself has been giving, people have been writing internet who we are and what we do. I just wanted to iterate that. So my family and I, we immigrated to Canada in 1989. We lived in BC Housing until 2020, 2021 through hard work. Myself, I'm a mining engineer, graduate from UBC. My brother's a cardiologist, graduate from UBC. My mom was a janitor. My father, we're all extremely hardworking people. Everything and all our success up until this point has been through hard work. So when we hired Shaheen Construction to build, there was an existing deck. We wanted an outdoor kitchen for, for a family, for entertainment. And he was the builder of the home. We entrusted him to build this for us. He said he'll get all the permits, do everything. And he completed 90% of the project. And after there was some, financial, what was according to the contract and what he's trying to charge us was, there's a discrepancy. So he pulled away from the project. But I just want to let everyone know, like, up until now, everything we've done has been by the book. We wouldn't have spent this much money if we knew that the builder wasn't getting permits for us. He said he would get us permits. He built the house. He said, I know everything about it. I will do it for you. There's an existing deck already there. We just asked him to put a roof on it and extend it. And unfortunately, we've faced this. It's a very unfortunate event, but I just want to let everyone know that, we're not new to this country. Everything we have done and everything we've achieved till now has been by the book. And we're an extremely hardworking family. And I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Any questions from members of council? Councillor Snyder, please.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if staff has any comments or responses to the applicant's lawyer.
Through the mayor, I mean, I hadn't intended to get into a back and forth, but just in terms of points of clarification, staff do acknowledge that Ms. Baker had said that she wouldn't be available. We were aware of that. We advised that we were proceeding anyways, so they knew. I believe you asked if, why no one, like why the owner wasn't there, and we truthfully didn't know why the owner wasn't there. They did know that we were proceeding on the date that we did. So that was known. We actually tried to accommodate the absence by granting an extension. And I think Ms. Baker references that in her letter, where we revised our resolution to allow for 60 days rather than 30 days for the completion of the removal and the remediation of the work. So we did extend that. We extended it so they could also come to this council meeting and provide an appeal. So we feel that we did accommodate that. And it's worth noting that, since that meeting, we have not yet received a building permit. So, that's a concern for us, that if, folks were serious about proceeding with the work, that they would have, at least submitted a building permit. I believe Ms. Baker did say in July that, or the owner's council, I believe it was Ms. Baker, advised that they would be applying for the necessary permits by the end of the week. So kind of July 11th. And so that's kind of 2 months ago. It's come and gone. In terms of the hazard condition, I think this is important for council to realize. There was a comment that just because something's built without permits doesn't make it a hazardous condition. That's actually not accurate. Under the community charter, buildings that are constructed without permits under municipal and provincial statutes are considered to be in a hazardous condition. That's the statute. It's section 73(2) subsection B. Our opinion is that further evidence that a structure is unsafe is not required to justify an RAR, which makes sense considering that unlawful construction is likely to have concealed or latent defects. Taxpayers should not put on the expense of further investigating what was illegally built in the first place before demolition can be required. So I think that's really quite key. And the third point, I think that the note about the reviewing this in the context of our new building bylaw, I can advise that staff, our chief building official, environment staff, and our municipal solicitor have in fact reviewed this in the context of our new building bylaw. We updated our building bylaw this summer. We have reviewed it in the context of that and advised that we still have the same recommendation. And I think the final note, point 4, was just again that this timing issue. We've invited them several times to apply for permits. They haven't. The application materials that they submitted back in April actually contemplated removal of the structure. So that was something that they provided from their environmental plan as part of the environmental remediation plan. And we haven't received a permit application for any EDP, building permit, or variance to keep the structure. That's
Thanks, Mr. Bailey. Councilor Gambioli, please.
So just to be clear, when the public hasn't read all the documents, of course, but this was, we were notified about this issue of, I'm going to say, a year and a half ago. It's not something really recent. This has been going back and forth with staff for a period of many, many months, correct?
Correct.
Although it wasn't brought to the council level until very recently, I should add. So just in terms of what I've heard and what I've read in the reports, does staff think that this structure could in fact be brought into compliance in any way, or is it full demolition required, or is there hope? Is there any kind of hope for?
Through the mayor, it's our opinion that it could not. I think that we would never say never, obviously, but our strong opinion is that it could not, because again, just the unlawful construction is very likely to have concealed or latent defects, and we think that the appropriate, for example, like if a wall is covered up, you can't inspect behind the wall, and you recall this with other applications that we face. So we think it's highly unlikely that the building would achieve a building permit.
And so in staff's opinion, what if there's any hope for saving any part of the structure that could be brought into compliance, then what do you recommend that the owners do?
Well, we're recommending that council enforce the RAR.
Right, but you also said earlier that no no requests for permits have been submitted either, so.
Well, they have not, I said they have not submitted any
N-
permits.
No, so are you saying that you would be still entertaining application for permits?
They can apply. I can't stop them from applying for a permit, but that doesn't change staff's opinion on the issue.
All right.
Thank you. Councillor Watt, please.
Yeah, so a lot of the questions that I had have already been answered. But I am curious about one thing, as I was not in attendance in the July 21st meeting, and the recommendation was for demolition. Could a recommendation be altered to recommend the deconstruction so that this doesn't end up in landfill? Would there be any reason not to, that could not be altered?
Well, I think it's a removal of the structure in any
Just
way that they
remove
could remove
in
it. I
any
mean, it
way.
does seem. I think I made a comment at one point in time, it's a shame they can't lift it up and move it somewhere where building permits aren't required.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Any further comments? Ms. Baker, any final comment?
Yes, just a couple points. With regard to why they haven't applied for permits, well, a couple points. First is that the point that the QEP's report recommended removal. As you can see, when you look through the documents that I submitted, it was because staff told the QEP to write a report for removal and showing how it doesn't comply with the guidelines. So again, it was staff telling our client to do this. So that's the first thing. And on the question of, is there hope? Yes, there is hope. I would hope that staff would keep an open mind to this. If what staff is saying is that whenever someone breaches the bylaw, we will always have a remedial action requirement before council. I'd like to see that. I don't think that's what's going to happen. As staff knows, and your new building bylaw also contemplates this, where work is done without permits or where work has been concealed before there's been an inspection, the owner can be required to open it up so that they can have a look. And so that is exactly what our clients are prepared to do. If they can apply for these permits, yes, they haven't applied for them yet, but they haven't applied for them because you've made an order for removal. So we're dealing with that right now. If our clients are given an opportunity to apply, that's exactly what they'll do. And they're absolutely willing to allow the staff to inspect and open up the walls if they want to have a look at the walls. And if things have to be changed, those things can be changed. And they're absolutely prepared to work with staff to try to legalize this. Unless there's any other questions for me, or if you have any other comments,
Sorry, Ms. Baker, I'm just a little bit confused. Because as I understand it, the district staff wrote a letter back in June of 2024, which you refer to in your correspondence, that said the building was built without permits. So that's a year they've had to apply for a permit or try and rectify it.
Yeah, but you have to go back and look at the whole chain of discussions. Originally, they were told to apply. And then when they did what staff told them to do and hired a QEP, staff told the QEP to apply for removal. That's what happened. And so there's a QEP report that addresses removal because that's what staff told them to apply for. They haven't had an opportunity to apply, and that was for development permit. They have not had an opportunity to apply for permits to try to keep the structure in its entirety or a part of it.
So again, through the mayor, I think that, staff have given them opportunity to apply. They've, as you've just pointed out, it was from June of 2024 when, they were made aware that, of course, when you're building a new building in West Vancouver, you need a building permit. You need a development permit. They haven't applied for those permits. It's that straightforward.
And may I add, though, staff also said, we can't issue you one. That's what they told them. When they tried to apply, staff, I can take you to the email, they just sort of said, well, you can't apply because we're not going to give it, we can't give it to you. So that's that was it. And then we ended up here. But that email is in there, and that's from staff.
Mr.
Sorry,
Mayor,
I'm
I
ju- I'm
guess,
just
right,
reading the letter. I'm just reading the staff letter of June 3rd, 2024. But that's okay. Mr. Bailey, anything
And
else?
through the mayor, I mean, I don't have that letter directly in front of me, but the direction from staff and the advice from staff was that of course, everybody can apply for a permit. The applicant would know that if you're building a home or an accessory structure or any structure, you need to apply for a permit. It was clear that the structure did not and would not comply with our environmental development permit guidelines. Notwithstanding that, in the absence of any permit, we couldn't even assess that. So, you have somebody on the counter saying, hey, look, this clearly is a problem. But we don't have a permit. The order of operations when you're building a home, an accessory structure, is you apply for a permit, you get your permit, you go through inspections, you get your occupancy. That did not happen.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, I've got the letter of June 3rd if you'd like to review it, but it does state that the structure is built. Well, it says no new development is permitted within 5 meters of the top of the bank. If the survey identifies that the new structure is located within the 5 meter setback to the top of the bank and or below the top of the bank, it would not comply and would need to be removed. So I don't really understand how you can what's the point, I guess, is the bottom
The
line.
point is you could apply for a variance. You can apply for a DP with variance, and you can apply for a DVP. But these are the OCP guidelines, and the OCP is not one of the bylaws that is triggered under 73. And
Through the
so-
mayor, Ms. Baker is mixing things up. It's not, you wouldn't apply for a variance, you would apply for a development permit. And the advice in that is correct. It would not comply with your development permit guidelines.
Yeah.
The variance varies zoning provisions. The development permit directs how things are cited and located in and around riparian corridors.
I think that's the fundamental problem, and I'm reading Ms. Matatu, who's our environmental protection officer, and she says it's really not much chance of getting approval of anything that's within a 5 meters of the top of bank. So
But shouldn't our client be given an opportunity to actually apply for that and receive a decision? I mean, I just don't think staff can just say that in an email without an application. And
Well,
our client should be entitled to make that application and get a decision.
well, this is up to members of council now, but it does seem pretty clear to me that the structure is built within 5 meters of the top of bank, isn't it?
It is, and
So-
that, again, that is an OCP issue. That is not a building bylaw issue. So we can't conflate that because that's not, 73 deals with building bylaw. But there's also potential variances, and maybe they don't get a variance, and then they have to live with that. But all our clients are asking for is an opportunity to try to fix it. And for some time. I mean, the staff is saying it's been there for a year, so without any serious concerns about safety. And so all our clients are asking for is an opportunity to actually submit their application and get a decision on that.
May I just ask though, in paragraph number C, it says,
Sorry, paragraph C of,
you can apply for an environmental development permit, an EDP. Did they apply for an EDP?
well, this was what I was trying to explain. When they got the QEP, staff told them to apply for a demo QEP, for a demo report. It was not to try to keep it. It was, staff told the QEP to apply for demolition. And so that's the report that was drafted, and that's in the material.
But it does say pretty clearly in this letter that they could apply for an environmental development permit.
Yes, and so when our clients, our clients did what district asked them to do. They retained a QEP. The QEP reached out to the district, and the district told the QEP to apply for a demolition to submit a report for the demolition of the property.
Councillor Thompson.
So the one area that I'm finding confusing is you made mention to our own change in bylaws that now complies with what you've done. And I'm thinking back to last term, maybe 5 years ago, where a fellow built a sports court that went into our riparian area, and he had to remove the whole thing without, he did it without a permit, even though just a small corner of it. And I don't know if that's a comparable at all about a structure being built into a restricted area. What possibly has changed where this is suddenly okay and wasn't before?
Through the mayor, I believe Ms. Baker was talking about changes to our building bylaw. And so that the sport court, the same principles wouldn't apply with the sport court. That didn't apply with the environmental development permit guidelines, and they needed to remove a portion of it. I believe Ms. Baker in her comments was making reference to the fact that we'd updated our building bylaw this summer. And my advice is that our review of this in the context of that new building bylaw, our recommendation remains.
Right, and this was all done before we revised our bylaw. So this was all done before we revised our bylaw.
The work was done before we
Yeah.
revised our bylaw, yes.
Okay.
Okay, any further comments? Thanks very much. I'll turn it over now to members of council.
I apologize,
Sorry.
Mayor Seger, we do have one speaker signed up to address this item. Would you like to wait until after motions on the
No,
floor? or shall we-
we'll ask any member of the public who wishes to speak. They have an opportunity.
Okay.
Could I ask, I'm sorry, we're gonna let members of the public speak now. Thank you.
Okay, the one name we have on our speakers list is Eric Jensen. I'll promote Eric Jensen to a panelist.
Oh, I see. This person is not physically here.
They're not, they're here, they're joining via Zoom. And the speakers list is otherwise empty for this item.
Thank you. Mr. Jensen, thanks for joining us this evening.
Excuse me. Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you for taking the time to hear me out this evening. I know this is a fairly contentious issue, and I do feel terribly for the owners and what they're going through. That said, I've got a couple of notes here. My understanding is on a variance. My name's Eric Jensen. I'm the owner of Spruce Homes. I go out and get permits for all the work that we do across the North Shore and the Lower Mainland, and this is just part of what we do. For the owner to claim that they didn't know that they didn't have a permit, that seems difficult for me to believe, because your staff are fantastic about sending us emails, letting us know about upcoming inspection results and that sort of thing. So difficult to believe that they didn't know that there was no permits for the project. It's possible, but difficult. Obviously, it's already been discussed that the structure is at the top of a slope. I understand that. Sorry, I forgot the lawyer's name, but that she wants her clients. Miss Baker, thank you. Miss Baker wants some time for her clients to sort things out. My comment to that is, I've lived on the North Shore my entire life, and we have seen more than one structure of this nature that was built kind of sort of in the same terms or conditions, I suppose, slip into the creek below. And there's a 30-foot slope. I am just looking at your GIS website here, and you can see that there's almost 30 feet of fall between where this structure is and Brothers Creek below. So, who's going to pay the bill if we give them a year to sort this out and this thing slides into the creek? Like, who's footing the bill for dealing with that? Somebody asked about deconstruction and whether or not that's a viable option. Not really. Even with old structures, deconstruction, most of the stuff is going to the landfill. Well, we've gotten a lot better about recycling things, but deconstruction per se, they're not going to be able to get a big machine back there to pull it down anyways. It's a pretty limited area, but just from a deconstruction perspective, not so easy. In terms of trying to get it inspected and approved after the fact, you would be looking at, on the off chance that they got the variance permit for it, they would be looking at having to open up the ground around the home to see what the footings are sitting on. You would need to make sure that all of the walls are structurally sound, that it's got the right hold downs where they need to have hold downs. It's got shear wall blocking where it's supposed to have shear wall blocking. Like, I mean, there's a lot of rigmarole that needs to go through for all of that. And I don't know how much time I have left.
You have about 4 seconds.
Okay. To conclude then, if these people are given a chance to kind of sort of remedy the situation, it really opens up the floodgates for people doing whatever the hell they feel like doing and then begging for forgiveness after the fact. And that's my thoughts on the situation. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Jensen.
thank you for taking the time to hear me out.
Thanks very much. Is there anyone else here this evening that wish to address council on this matter? Councillor Watt.
So, thank you so much. I'm still going to go ahead and recommend that council uphold the remedial action requirement passed on July 21st, 2025 pursuant to Division 12, Part 3 of the Community Charter in relation to the property at 1145 Chartwell Crescent, West Vancouver, BC.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary, motion is carried. Sorry. Let's now move to item number 4, the proposed Ambleside Dunder Ave Improvement Area Service. Councillor Gambioli.
Is there a,
Is there, I don't think there's a presentation.
no
on this tonight.
presentation?
No, I don't believe so.
No presentation this evening, but I can answer any questions you
there's
may
any
have. Maureen O'Brien from ADVIA is also here to answer any questions council may have.
This is a motion to continue the ADBIA for another 5-year period. Is that correct?
This is to give first, second, and third reading to the proposed new BIA bylaw, which renews for a 7-year term.
Oh, 7 years.
And to initiate the council initiative petition against process. And then
Right.
it will come back to council in December.
Yes, there is a process. So all of the property owners, such as myself, have to be given notification.
Okay, so I'll recommend that proposed Ambleside Dunder Ave Business Improvement Area Service Bylaw number 5398, 2025 be read at first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Lambert. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. And we do thank the ADBIA for all of their work in making Ambleside and Dunder Ave a more beautiful part of our community. The next item is proposed West Vancouver Municipal Officers Bylaw. This is a bit of a technical amendment. Councillor Gambioli, could I ask you to make the motion?
Oh, that's me again, right, okay. I'll recommend that proposed West Vancouver Municipal Officers Bylaw number 4267, 2002, amendment bylaw number 5389, 2025 be read at first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
I will second that.
Thank you, Councillor Snyder. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you. Again, a bit of a tidy up bylaw, this proposed council committee procedure bylaw 5020. Councillor Watt.
I do have some questions. Should I read it first?
Let's
Yeah,
put the motion
I'll put it
on the floor and
table.
then
Okay.
questions would be appropriate.
Recommend that the proposed council committee procedural bylaw 5020-2019 amendment bylaw number 5390, 2025 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you, Councillor Lambert. Thank you. And questions?
Yeah.
Councillor Watt, please.
Yeah, so I agree with most of what's in this bylaw, but I just wanted some clarification on how that will work with various committees. So no more co-chairs. Correct. And we have an executive chair and chair on the Finance and Revenue Committee. So does that mean we go down to a single chair? How does that work?
Sure. Through the mayor to Councillor Watt, currently a committee may have a co-chair and co-chair or a chair and acting chair should the co-chair not be should the chair not be available. There has been some confusion about how those roles play with each other, so we suggested simplifying the matter, having a chair every committee still needs to have an acting chair. And we are not trying to dissuade committee members or those two chairs from working together. We're always trying to get them to collaborate as much as possible. We were simply trying to streamline the system. Now, in this case that you referenced, which committee was that, pardon me?
Finance and Revenue.
Finance and Revenue Advisory Committee, the roles that those two chairs are playing can continue. It's more of a title change and a way to just clarify who the chair is and who the acting chair and who has what role on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so it doesn't change the function of any of
The
the
committee should be able
committees?
to function the way it has been, and we're
Okay.
hoping it will, because it seems to be working well.
Okay,
Yep.
excellent. Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments? I'll call a question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. Item number 7, bus speed and reliability report. I believe we're going to have a presentation. Mr. O'Sullivan, Ms. Muller.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about the projects that came out recommended from the bus speed and reliability study. This evening, I'll briefly talk about the community comments that we received since the report that was deferred on the July 7th council meeting. Then I'll talk about provide some general information in response to some of the questions that came up since the July 7th meeting. And then the final step will be to talk about each individual project to allow council time to ask questions and to make recommendations for direction for staff. So I'll first start off with looking at the community comments that we received since the July 7th meeting. There was 2 people at the July 7th meeting who spoke, and then we received 5 emails regarding the proposed projects. At the July 7th meeting and during subsequent discussions, the ADBIA executive directive said that in general, the ADBIA supports filling in bus bays, constructing curb bulges at 17th Street, in part to increase parking, and supports removing some bus stops. The ADBA is also concerned about safety at the intersection and supports left turn bays at Marine Drive and supports a study of left turn lanes at Marine Drive and 15th Street if it considers safety and the results of the study are first brought back to council for discussion. Another resident who spoke at the July 7th meeting supported filling in bus bays and the 17th Street sidewalk bulge to improve accessibility. And she supported left turn lanes at Marine Drive and 15th Street. But the resident was concerned about the potential loss of a bus stop at the library. The first email that we received has misinformation and statements that were not based on facts. The author did not see the need or value in filling in bus bays or moving bus stops. The author did not comment on 7th Street bulges or the 15th Street left turn lanes. The second email asked for more information, and the author supported the left turn lanes at 15th Street, but did not comment on the other projects. The third email did not comment on the projects, but felt that there should be smaller, slower, and less bulky buses in West Vancouver. The fourth email only commented on the removal of the westbound bus stop at 15th Street. The author pointed out that because 15th Street bus stops are not wheelchair accessible, they have to walk to 14th Street or 17th Street. The author felt that the 14th Street westbound stop is frequently blocked by vehicles and is a busy pedestrian area. He also felt that the bus ramp couldn't be just deployed at the 14th Street stop. However, both westbound and eastbound stops at 14th Street have curb bulges and lots of room to deploy the ramps. The eastbound stop at 17th Street also has a curb bulge. So I think the author was actually referring to 17th Street, which does not have a curb bulge and can be congested with pedestrians at times. The fifth email arrived this afternoon, and it gently supported the projects from the bus speed and reliability study. The next I'd like to talk provides additional information about the bus speed and reliability program. Like many transit organizations in North America, they're having a tough time. TransLink is having a tough time keeping up with population growth. And TransLink is working hard to find efficiencies to improve service. To support the research to improve efficiencies, TransLink has a lot of data they can use. They have bus boardings at each station from compass card tap-ons. They have delay and speed studies, speed information from GIS monitoring, and they have customer surveys. And based on the research, TransLink estimates that 3 priority measures, bus stop balancing, curb bulges, and bus priority lanes, if implemented together, could save customers time on each trip and generate $1 to $2 million in operating savings every year. The Bus Speed and Reliability Program provides municipalities with funding to implement priority measures. To qualify for funding, a project or a group of projects must have a positive return on investment over 10 years. This is similar to ICBC's road improvement program, which has shown $4.50 return for every dollar spent. Some of the proposed projects in West Vancouver have lower costs and higher benefits, and some have higher costs and lower benefits. But as an overall package, TransLink's analysis showed there is a positive return over 10 years. If we choose to implement some of the projects, but not all the projects, TransLink may review its funding measures and may reduce some of the funding that the district gets. TransLink estimates that buses spend about 1/6 of their time at bus stops, which is about $700,000 hours, or approximately $73 million in operating costs. So even making small changes can reduce costs, save customers time, and improve customer service. For bus users, even small improvements, depending on the project, can reduce overall trip times and improve reliability by reducing delays, and can result in more comfortable rides with less stopping and starting and lane changing. Depending on the projects, small improvements can increase curbs for non-bus users. Small projects can improve curb space for more parking, which would occur if the 17th Street bulge was approved or the 18th Street bus stop was removed. Small projects could reduce pedestrian crossing times at intersections, increase sidewalk space for people who use wheelchair or walkers or other mobility aids, and improve traffic flow and reduce collisions depending on the project. So now what I'd like to do is step through each individual project. Oops. So the first project is a study of left turning lanes on Marine Drive at 15th Street. Unlike other projects we're going to discuss later tonight, this project is just a study to better understand the cost and benefits of adding left turn lanes on Marine Drive at 15th Street. The Marine Drive 15th Street intersection is one of the busiest intersections in the district. There are roughly 25,000 vehicles per weekday and roughly 4,000 pedestrian crossings per weekday. The high volume of cars, buses, trucks, and pedestrians has resulted in the intersection also being one of the highest collision locations in the district. The study will focus on left turn lanes, but will consider pedestrian collisions, vehicle collisions, congestion and delay, parking impacts, transit operation, and the economic factors such as the benefit cost ratio. So I would like to ask the council if they have any questions about the left turn lane study project, and if there is support for the recommendation that with project funding from TransLink, staff proceed with the following recommendation from the bus speed and reliability study, complete a detailed study of left turn bays on Marine Drive at 15th Street, and report back to council with the study findings.
Thank you. Could we go through each of the recommendations, and we're going to vote on them separately, as I understand it?
Yes, so I can go through each one individually and pause, or I can go through them all right now and you can come back.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on this recommendation? Councillor Snyder.
So one of the questions is obviously safety is a big issue if this intersection is deemed to be one of the more dangerous intersections. That obviously a serious consideration. But from my perspective, the real big concern here, the total number of parking stalls that we lost, if I'm not mistaken, is close to 22. Is that
Yes.
not correct?
Yes.
And that's for me, that's a very, very big concern, particularly at this intersection. I know driving through this intersection on a regular basis, trying to find parking. Parking as it is right now is extremely difficult in that sort of 2-block stretch between 14th and 16th. And so the loss of 22 stalls is a big concern for me. I appreciate it's just to do a study, but I also concerned about spending money that doesn't necessarily need to be spent by TransLink on something like this. And maybe we could look at TransLink, could look at something other than spending the money on this sort of improvement. So that's my big concern.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. I guess my question comes down to how did they conclude and limit this study on 15th Street to just left-hand turning lanes? Because this has got to be one of the most chaotic and hazardous intersections I've witnessed. I've actually spent time on this corner with residents, a lot of elderly residents, people with mobility devices, everything from where the bus stops and how it blocks the view of pedestrians. It just seems like this whole intersection needs a big rethink, and not just around left turning, but some intelligent lighting, things that could really improve the all over safety of this. It's not only a big traffic corridor, it's a big pedestrian corridor. And with, we're seeing a tremendous amount of active mobility with our e-bikes, our e-scooters. And it's such a central part. It's hard to support just doing a minimal part of what's wrong with this intersection and say you're going to be improving what's going on there. So I don't know the rationale behind limiting it to a left-hand turn study, but I think it needs a whole lot more.
Mr. O'Sullivan.
Through the mayor to Councillor Thompson, the intent of the study, while the focus will be on the left turn with the funding we have from TransLink, the full intent is to look at pedestrian safety, vehicle safety, traffic operation, congestion. So it will be, well, one of the key outcomes will be looking at the benefit costs of left turn bays and how they will impact parking. So we'll have it, but it will also be looking at safety at the intersection, pedestrian safety, vehicle safety, and the other factors that surrounding. So it'll be a more comprehensive study rather than just strictly a survey and design of left turn bays.
Okay. The other question I have is you talk about the return on investment being about 10 years. They estimate their projects. And can I understand correctly that you're saying if you save 3 seconds with a bus stop, that translate into the amount of cost benefit over 10 years that they're looking for, or is there other measurements?
Through the mayor to Councillor Thompson, my understanding from the bus speed and reliability we did in conjunction with TransLink, a consultant. TransLink then took the recommendations from the consultant's report and put them all together, and based on their experience and evaluation process, they looked at the whole package of projects. The bus bulge at 17th, the bus bay infill, potential for left turn bays, the bus stop removals, and based on that whole package, they concluded that based on their experience and research, that they would produce a positive benefit over a 10-year period. So you have to look, TransLink looked at all the benefits that would come from all the changes, the proposed works.
And that's a benefit to TransLink.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Gambioli.
No, I didn't, actually, that was my question, my question's been answered. I was gonna make the motion, but it looks like Councillor.
Actually, sorry, Councillor Watt.
At this moment, I think I would agree with Councillor Thompson, or was it Snyder, that this requires more than just a look at the left turn lane. And I still go back to something I think I've suggested in the past, to look at scramble intersections. So I think this is, at this point, maybe the word short-sighted isn't correct, and that's not directed at you, but on TransLink. And I also wonder if they're not rolling West Vancouver, that is a very different demographic than, the people taking buses on West Georgia. So I'm trying to understand whether these recommendations are all very specific to West Vancouver or part of their overall desire to increase density in certain ways and pave the way for rapid bus lines and other things.
Through the mayor,
I know
council,
that was a lot in one.
to Councillor Watt. I think it's an overall package of research that TransLink has looked at for for transit systems across North America. So these benefits are based on research that's been done across North America, as well as TransLink's own research within the district. So it's not the improvements, bus stop bulges, bus bay infills, bus stop removals are not, and their evaluation is not specific to West Vancouver. It's based on their experience and knowledge based on operating transit systems.
Okay. We are very different than the rest of the Lower Mainland. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that at the moment. But I do think there is more that should be considered than trying to save 3 seconds on a bus route through here.
Through the mayor to Councillor Watt, I don't want to focus too much on the 3 seconds, but definitely at this intersection, the left turn bay study, it will look at a much broader the collisions and safety at the intersection, not just a simple design process. So there will be a more comprehensive study when we do it for the left at the 15th Street Marine Drive intersection.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, I'm not negating or belittling, the need for improved safety, but I do think that looking at a scramble intersection might offer those benefits for pedestrians. I'll leave it there.
I see Councillor Gambioli wishes to make a motion.
I
I'm
apologize.
going to ask, sorry, are there people that wish to speak to?
There is one person that signed up to speak to this item, and I believe there might be other people online hoping to speak to the item, in which case please call 604-925-7004 to get signed up in the speakers list. We do have one name on the speakers list so far. I
Okay,
don't know if it's for this recommendation or a
let's ask
subsequent
if
one.
they want to speak to this recommendation.
Okay, I can promote that person who is on the speakers list now, and we can ask that, sure.
Is there any member of the public that's with us tonight that wants to speak on this particular recommendation? Okay, let's see if that person who wants to speak is on this item.
Mr. Davidovich, you should be able to turn your camera on and your microphone if you wish. Your microphone, please, your camera if you wish.
Is this Nathan Davidovich?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Davidovich is a well-known transit advocate throughout Metro Vancouver.
He has
Nice.
declined to be promoted to a panelist, so
So, Mr. Davidovich, I'm sure we will see you at a upcoming TransLink meeting. I'm going to ask Councillor Snyder if you would take the chair for this one particular item. And I say that not because, but I look at this corner and I look at my building and I don't want to influence the outcome of council's wise decision either way. So if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, so is there anybody else from the public to speak?
I believe that, I apologize, the person that I thought we were trying to promote may have been on a second account and tried to join. This is the joy of Zoom. I'm trying to get Mr. Davidovich to become a panelist again. And he has declined a second time. So there's no one else that's signed up on the speakers list. I do see one resident that has their hand raised in Zoom. It's not our normal process to allow a speaker to join that way.
Well, I think in fairness to give them an opportunity to speak, and I'm assuming that, I'm guessing that maybe the other speaker that has declined is because he's potentially wanting to speak to one of the other 3 items. So,
Potentially, unfortunately, we're having no way of determining that. He has now joined, I think, again. I will, first of all, let's ask the other speaker. How's that?
okay,
I will promote that person now. The name is Nigel Malkin. Looks like this person will join. Sean, could you stop sharing so we can get a better screen? Thanks. Mr. Malkin, you should be able to unmute your microphone now. You are on the speakers list. Perfect. Thanks for calling in. I just got your name on the speakers list. You have 3 minutes. Please go ahead.
Hi there, Mayor and Council. I do apologize. I did plan on being there. I am driving there, but that won't make it in time because it sounds like the only speaker. I didn't hear all of your conversation because I was still working. But as you know, I'm vehemently opposed to this. It's a foot in the door for TransLink to do lots more other things. I hope you've heard from other people in the community that are against this proposal. Everything that's on the list is not really what anyone from our community wants. I'm not going to go on any further. You all know my position on it, but and I thank you for your time. And I'm sorry I didn't make it there, but business now is the way I wish it was 5 years ago, and I'm working night and day. Anyway, thank you very much for your time and your consideration, and I hope this gets defeated or deferred or thrown in the garbage can where it should be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Malcolm, and your correspondence was received by all council as well.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you.
We have any other speakers? I see somebody in the audience would like to address council. Ms. O'Brien, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Maureen O'Brien, Ambleside Dundray Business Improvement Association. I know Sean has already mentioned that we support this study because that's what it is. If TransLink wants to foot the bill and if we can fix that intersection, it might not be with left-hand turn lanes only, but it might be a scramble, which I have asked for as well. It might be where pedestrians can actually see to cross because the bus stops aren't there anymore. There's just lots of opportunities for this, and it is just a study, and it will come back to council for final decision. So the BIA supports this. We certainly will not support the loss of 22 parking spots. Key, that's going to be big for us, but we can get behind this, and let's see what TransLink comes up with. Maybe they'll come up with something that the district certainly doesn't have the funds to figure out how to fix that intersection. So I say we take advantage of what they're offering. They collect enough taxes from West Vancouver. Let's let them spend some of it here. So that's how we feel. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. Is there anybody else here with us this evening that would like to address this item? Okay.
Acting Mayor Snyder, with your leave, can I try that caller one more time?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I believe they're trying to join with a separate account. I would hate to deny them the opportunity to address. Looks like it's going to work.
Okay.
Okay. There you go. You should be able to unmute your microphone now. I hope this is Nathan Davidovitz. And you can address council. You have 3 minutes. Okay. Please unmute your microphone. If not, I'll just put you back as an attendee. I may have promoted you in error. Looks like it's not going to work, Acting Mayor Snyder, so I'll just encourage the caller to write an email in. Thanks very much.
Great, thank you. Anybody else on council? Anybody with us this evening?
Do you hear me now?
Oh, now we can hear you.
Oh, okay. There's all kinds of messages coming in on my my smartphone. So I was just going to say a few things. The district does not have a contract with TransLink. TransLink does not want to sign any contract with any of the municipalities in Metro Vancouver in the same way that BC Electric and BC Hydro had a contract that spelled everything, how cost sharing is done and so forth. TransLink want to cancel and eliminate some bus stops that existed for over 75 years. The district has the final say, as TransLink does not control the streets that buses operate on. There are many ways to speed our buses without eliminating any bus stops. Proper traffic management on bus route, loading and unloading accounts for up to 20% of the total travel time by buses. By allowing boardings on both doors, the dwell time in bus stop is reduced. And also, of course, you can buy new buses that have additional doors, and that's already done in Europe and Asia, the transit system. One way that many other cities do look is to look at all the bus stops in a city, not just to look at 6 or 8 bus stops. You have to look at all of them. Check the safety, the passenger amenities like benches and shelters and awnings to protect the rider against the sun and rain. The transfer between bus routes at transfer point, and after the review, you might find out that very few bus stops can be eliminated without any inconvenience to existing riders. This method has been used in Seattle and Winnipeg recently, and that's what you should tell TransLink. Give us a report on all the bus stops in West Vancouver. Do not just consider few on Marine Drive. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. I think you're probably going to be addressing one of the other recommendations to come up before us, but your voice has been heard. Thank you. Great. Anybody else before I turn things over to Councilor Gambioli? Oops, sorry, Councilor Gambioli.
Can we wait and go through all the projects before we start voting on them?
I think we sort of started the process
Okay.
and generally agree that we deal one by one, I guess. Your concern is?
Fine, we can go ahead this way. It's just, I think we're going to draw in the repercussions of other projects into this one, but.
Okay, so I will make the motion on this issue. And the motion is that with project funding from TransLink, staff proceed with the following project recommended in the bus speed and reliability study. Complete a detailed study of left turn bays on Marine Drive at 15th Street and report back to council with the study findings.
No, I was originally scheduled to second this. Is there anybody else that would like to second it? The reason I had agreed to second it was to create some discussion on the item to begin with. And so we've seemed to have had a little bit. I'm still happy to, if there's nobody else, I'm still happy to second it just for the purposes of putting this forward.
I'll second it.
Councilor Thompson.
Okay, so I'll speak to the motion and I'll just say add a couple things, which are that one of our members of the public who was actually the chair of the Strategic Transportation Plan Committee back in 2010 reminded us today of the Strategic Transportation Plan, which has been in place as a policy since 2011. And we are asked to evaluate, or we have agreed to evaluate all projects with the sustainability hierarchy in mind, giving priority to buses on main routes. In other words, buses above single occupancy vehicles. And noting that above even buses on that hierarchy are pedestrians. So I'm happy to support this motion for that reason. We need to be supporting this kind of active transportation. Secondly, it's free because TransLink is paying for it. This is free money, as has been pointed out. It's not a good idea to turn away free money. I see that the ADBIA supports this, which is important. And with the exception of one person, we have had positive feedback about this at our last meeting and at this meeting. And the issue of density, we will have increased density in Ambleside at some point. And so buses will be more and more important going forward. So I'm happy to support this motion, and I hope the majority of my colleagues agree.
Thank you.
So,
Councilor Thompson.
So I'm seconding this more on the point of opening it up for discussion. I will say out of the 4 recommendations, this has some merit. And I believe that if we have any sort of funding, it needs to go towards trying to improve this intersection for sure. This is not free money. We pay an exorbitant amount of TransLink fees every year, and this is their way of investing a little bit of that back into our community. And what I want to see as a counselor and a community representative here is that the money we get back for improvements actually make improvements to our quality of life. And here we are looking at a part of our community that is very well served by buses. Lots of options, buses every 5 to 10 minutes. Beyond Thunder Ave, there's not that sort of service. There isn't the needs for the western and northern communities up above, 2 blocks above East Marine Drive. And it's frustrating to see them come in, and it almost seems like make work projects that really don't add true value to the community. I have got to wonder about the study results, and I'm sorry to question it, but in the time that I spend on Marine Drive, especially I'll talk about the bus stop in front of the rec center. They want to actually turn that into a bulge. So you're turning 2 fluid lanes into one with a bus stop in the middle of it. And anytime I've been at that intersection, you always seem to stop there because it's a long stoplight. I just can't see that the cars are holding up the bus merging back into the lane. At the very most, you see maybe the 2 or 3 cars that are parked at the red light hold them up. But I just don't see the great advantages in these projects really adding to this all over transit value and this somehow, 10-year payback to whom? I don't know. So the reason I was trying to put off the discussion after we talked about all of them is, while I do see merit for this particular one, I'm not convinced that it's going to go the distance we need it to go to find the improvements here, but I won't walk away from an opportunity to study and improve. So.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, I had hit my mic and I'm just going to reiterate something Councillor Thompson said in response to Councillor Gambioli. There is no such thing as free money. We're all paying for it. So there's no free money here. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess my only comments would be similar again. There's no free money. We all do pay for it at some point or another. I guess my only hope here is by recommending or by agreeing to this study that hopefully TransLink looks sort of beyond just, I'm concerned that it says detailed study of the left turn bays on Marine Drive and 18th. So I have some concerns about whether or not they're going to study or consider other options available. I guess that would only yet to be seen moving forward, but Councillor Thompson.
Is it possible to amend the motion to say from a study of left turn lanes to an all over safety and functionality of the intersection? It's implied, but it's not.
Through Council, yes, I guess 2 things I want to say is, one, this study is not being done by TransLink. TransLink is providing funding. This study will be driven by the engineering department of the District of West Vancouver. And so we will set the request for the RFP for the project. We'll set the scope of the work for the project. So definitely changing, if you want to amend the resolution to say a more comprehensive study of safety and operation at the intersection, definitely, I think we can definitely go with that and say TransLink, we may need to, it always was the anticipation that we may need to add a little bit of money from our own engineering budget to provide a better and more comprehensive study. But I agree with you that if we're looking at an intersection and looking at depth, we should be looking at the entire intersection, especially this one, because it is such a busy intersection with the highest, one of the highest collision rates in the district. So absolutely, I would support. I think that's a good idea.
Councillor Gambioli, is that something that you would consider as a friendly amendment?
If it can be worded other than what I think staff's understanding already is, which is my understanding is this pretty comprehensive already.
Complete a detailed study of how about we say complete a detailed comprehensive study on the intersection at 15th and Marine.
That sounds pretty all-inclusive. Is that Councillor Gambioli?
Acting Mayor, may I
Yes.
read us some suggested wording?
Please.
Excellent.
that with project funding from TransLink, staff proceed with the following project, recommended a bus speed and reliability study, including a comprehensive study on the safety, including left-hand turn bays at Marine Drive and 15th Street, and report back with study findings.
I'll support that, make that motion.
Councillor Gambioli, as the mover, do you accept?
Second, Councillor Thompson, thank you.
Sure.
Great. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I will ask for Mayor Sager to return. Assuming that there's nothing else. Is there any other bus ball 17, 21st? Nope, I think we're good. Mayor Sager.
Don't even want to know what you decided. Okay, where are we at? Mr. O'Sullivan, please. Thank you. Sorry.
So the next project we'd like to talk about is the bus bulge on the northeast corner of Marine Drive and 17th Street.
Can you change the screen?
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Thank you.
The next project is the sidewalk bulge at the northeast corner of Marine Drive and 17th Street. This project will incorporate the planned replacement of the traffic signal, increase room for pedestrians on the sidewalk, reduce pedestrian crossing distance across 17th Street and across Marine Drive, provide room for revenue generating bus shelter, create approximately 3 parking spaces, and slow right turning vehicles. This project will improve bus operation and will be a safety benefit for West Vancouver. I'd now like to ask council if they have any questions about the sidewalk bulge and if there is support for the recommendation that with project funding from TransLink, staff proceed with the following project recommended in the bus speed and reliability study, construct a bus bulge on the westbound 17th Street bus stop.
Thank you. No, any questions, comments? Councillor Gambioli?
I'm sorry.
Councillor Snyder?
Then I'll,
Sorry, just didn't hit the button in time. So I guess my concern in regards to this is, again, the exact same concern that I have for the 22nd Street bus bulge that's being recommended, and that is taking 2 free-flowing lanes of traffic, restricting one of those lanes, therefore impacting, basically leaving 1 lane of travel. We already know that the congestion that we deal with, particularly when you have left turners, I know that there's certain restrictions on the time limit that people are allowed to turn left at this intersection during, I believe it's the hours between
4 and 6.
4 to 6. You can't make a left-hand turn at certain intersections. I believe this is one of those intersections. But again, my concern is that, you know, it's just going to back up traffic that much further in an area where we already see extensive traffic backing up. So, you know, although I like the idea of the extra 3 parking stalls, again, I see this as a challenge. One of the other arguments is that, well, it reduces crossing time of the intersection. Well, I think that that can be changed by just updating our light system. If we need more time at the intersections for traffic, for pedestrians to cross, we can allow that through other means as well. So from that perspective, this one and the 22nd Street bulge don't get my support.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli?
shall I make the recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
Does
So-
anyone else?
I
Sorry.
apologize, Mayor Sager. A member of the public has just signed up for this item, and I believe the intention was to address this recommendation. I believe it was.
Okay. Certainly, if somebody, if it's to this one, this is the time to speak. Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, just Graham McKay.
Welcome back from your summer holiday.
Thank you, Graham McKay. Thank you very much. Graham McKay at West Vancouver. I'm not a traffic expert, I know, but I have to say bus bulges somehow inherently don't make sense to me, because what they do is slow down traffic. Because if you put a bulge in, you take away a lane of traffic, or where the bus turns in, the bus stops, all the traffic behind it backs up. And I just cannot see how through all these intersections, adding bus bulges is going to speed the flow of traffic. And I think it's not just a matter of getting buses through, but there's a lot of people drive cars and we need to get them through these intersections as well. And having a bus sitting out while people load and unload, holding up the whole stream of traffic somehow inherently doesn't make sense. But I guess there's greater experts than me and maybe other people understand why that makes sense, because it doesn't to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McIsaac. Yes, sir. Please. Mr. Cave, nice to see you this evening.
Nice to see you guys again.
Yeah.
John Cave, 5530 Marine Drive, West Vancouver, for 70-something years in West Vancouver. We've already destroyed the B line name, which then became the Rapid Bus in the past. The idea that we're going to have articulated buses driving around West Vancouver every 15 or 17 minutes and taking away parking spots and slowing down traffic. What we need is small buses that run up and down the hillside, bringing people down to the Park Royal or down to Central West Van. Taking away, with an aging population, you're going to take away bus stops instead of increasing bus stops. It's madness, absolute madness. I've got buses going past my door empty from Horseshoe Bay to Park Royal. We call it the party bus in our neighborhood because everybody can get on board, go down for a restaurant, have a few drinks, and head back home, and you'll be the only one on the bus from Dunder Rave to 5500 block of Marine Drive.
Well, Mr. Cave, it depends what time of the day, because
Day and night, I mean, that part of the bus, single bus is fine. The articulated buses.
Mr. Cave, just to be perfectly clear, there is no suggestion in any of this material that any articulating bus is coming. Absolutely not. Like that's
that's in your that's in their forward plan, is to take the Park Royal buses. Show us they're not going to take the Park Royal buses, take away parking, and that we're going to have more buses up and down the hillside, bringing people down, not taking away bus stops where people are going to have to walk an extra block or two. Just makes no sense. And we still have the same group that took care of the B line, making it become the Rapid Bus a few years ago. It was a lovely march. But yeah, so if there's no talking of articulated buses, they're going to stay at Park Royal. Then it's really strictly a matter of how many parking spaces are they going to take away, or how are they going to slow down traffic in West Van.
Thank you, Mr. Cave. Yeah, just to be perfectly clear, and I could not agree with you more, getting people up and down the hill, to me, is a huge priority. But I want to make it clear, we've made it very clear to TransLink, we do not want articulating buses. There is the one that goes out to Horseshoe Bay, the 257, but that's it. Thank you, Mr. Cave. The thing I find interesting about this particular proposal is I thought the ADBIA was in support of this recommendation, because it does increase the parking and it also improves that rather poor streetscape. Ms. O'Brien?
We do support this one. It does give us 3 extra parking spaces. TD Bank has been trying for probably 2 years to lease that space that they have, the empty storefront next to the main branch, and no one wants to lease it because there's no parking. Even though there's parking that TD Bank has, as we all know, people want to park right in front of where they're going. So giving us 3 extra spots on Marine Drive is a good thing. I drive back and forth between Ambleside and Dunderave several times a day. If I am behind a bus, I don't, even if it pulls in, it doesn't usually pull in enough that I can get by without having to go into the other lane anyhow, because its back end is sticking out. So for the 2 or 3 extra seconds that it takes, the ADBI's tagline is that we're villages. It's Ambleside Village, it's Dunderry Village, it's Horseshoe Bay Village, it's even Park Royal Village. We're trying to create villages here, not a speedway. People already drive far too fast on Marine Drive. And if this slows traffic down and people are in a hurry, they can go up to the highway to get where they need to go. Because ideally, someday it would be lovely for our restaurants that are on Marine Drive to have a patio. And no one wants to have a patio out front because it's just cars that just race through. So we fully support this. I would suggest that perhaps we look at having no left-hand turns during peak times so that people aren't stuck for a car that's turning left and then they can't get by on the bus. So there are some alternative solutions that you could look at. But overall, the bus bulges give us more sidewalk space. I look at things from the perspective of our shoppers and our visitors to our businesses. If it makes it easier to get around, our sidewalks are quite narrow in most places. And if you just look at Grosvenor and how much wider it is there, how much more space they've got, especially up at this area, there's a lot of medical centers. So you're dealing with people with, wheelchairs or walkers. And it just gives them more room, and it gives us more room to maybe put some patio furniture out there and beautify the place a little bit. So we don't just I don't want to end up looking like Lonsdale. I don't want to see Marine Drive look like that. It should still be that village feel. So if it means slowing down traffic, sorry, everybody, that it takes you an extra 3 minutes to get from Ambleside to Dunderave.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. I do think it's a bit ironic too, that in Dunderave, the addition of the sidewalks, which took it down to 1 lane plus the parking, has done what I dreamt of doing. Actually, I've got the letter. I found this summer, I was doing a bit of house cleaning, and I found a letter that I wrote as the president of the Dunderave Merchants Association in 1978, asking to find a way to slow the traffic down through Dunderave. And I just thought how ironic it is that it was COVID and the outside creation of the tables that actually finally slowed traffic down. So I can see some value in this. Thank you, Councillor Watt. Thank you.
Yeah. So I look at this, comparing it to 15th, which I did agree with Ms. O'Brien in the end. But I look at this, and human nature is human nature. And people are always looking to get somewhere more quickly, and people jackrabbit around buses. And I think it's going to create more havoc there. And if TransLink really wants to increase bus time, they should look at synchronizing our lights.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
So with this particular one, traffic slows down at 13th all the way through 20th. If not 21st, it's just the way it is through there. You're not going to be racing through this space. And quite frankly, that is a very gracious sidewalk there, particularly on the as it swings up onto 17th. I see a lot of people sitting there very comfortably in bus stops, socializing around there as they come out of the banks and healthcares, and it's in good shape. I actually, and what I question is why we actually need to spend the money bumping out. Why can't we create 3 parking spots there without a bump out and just have an area designated for buses only? So I don't support this one. I think, yeah, if you can create 3 spots, that's great. And I agree that when a bus pulls out, the reason they don't sit waiting for cars to go by them to pull back in is because generally cars can't get by them even when they pull off to load and unload. So you're not really speeding up the bus reliability. So to me, that just seems a bit of a waste of money.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. O'Sullivan, any comment about?
The reason why there's no parking on that side is when the bus tapers off to pull off the travel lane into the parking lane, it needs a fairly long length, especially these are standard buses, so that to allow the bus to pull off from the travel lane into the parking lane, it needs that space. So without the bulge, you cannot create additional parking in this area.
Thank you, Councillor Gambier.
Okay, I'll make the motion now.
Thank you.
Is Councillor Lambert coming back?
That's a good question.
I guess we'll wait patiently.
I think we should wait for him.
Well, I suppose I can just make the motion as it's written down,
Well,
right?
but is- certainly.
Do. Not the ideal time to leave. All right.
Do we have any indication as to which way Mr. Councillor Lambert might vote on this?
That's what he's doing exactly. That's what you're gonna say. Okay, well, I will make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a
Slowly.
seconder?
How about that? Make it slowly. Oh, actually, I do have a question though, for our staff, just before I make the motion. With respect to bus bulges, and the fact that buses are in the right-hand travel lane, if my memory serves me correctly, going westbound after Park Royal, the bus does not pull over. It is in the right-hand travel lane at 11th and Marine Drive.
Yes, because there's no parking on that
It
section.
is also in the travel lane on 13th.
Yes,
at
the
Marine
bulge
Drive,
is at
because there is
13th.
a bus bulge there because the gas station was redeveloped and it was added because that's standard practice now. The bus bulge now exists at 15th because that was redone as part
14th.
of the Grosvenor, 14th, excuse me, 14th. So with the exception of 15th, from Park Royal all the way to 17th, the bus is stopping every single time in the right-hand lane,
Yes,
not pulling off.
yes.
So this would be consistent with what's already happening.
Through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, for the westbound direction, most bus stops are in the travel lane. Approximately right now between 13th and 25th Street, 67% of the bus stops are in the travel lane in the westbound direction. And in the eastbound direction, 75% of the bus stops are in the travel lane.
Mhm. So this is not something new. This is actually the majority of the cases. Okay. All
I
right,
think Councillor
well-
Lambert's on his way back.
I hear the door. Okay, here we go.
All
I am
right.
going to recommend that
We
with project
missed you.
funding from TransLink, staff proceed with the following project recommended in the bus speed and reliability study, construct a bus bulge at the westbound 17th Street bus stop.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Well, I'll second it just for the fun of it because it's going to fail, I guess. I
Well, we
think
don't,
this-
we don't know that. You were not here for the earlier discussion.
Got it. No,
So.
I agree with the comments that Ms. O'Brien made from the ADBIA. I think this would actually enhance the charm of this block that's a bit dull right now.
Okay, well, I will also agree with the comments. I also will say that I agree with the comments made by the ADBIA representative. I will also reiterate that it is our obligation to follow or at least seriously consider our own strategic transportation plan, which puts pedestrians and bus infrastructure ahead of single-family vehicles. So when we say this is going to impede the free flow of traffic lanes, that is commentary that is directly against our own policy and where we've been trying to go for the last 14 years. So that is, if I may say, the wrong perspective. The perspective that we have agreed we need to take is the perspective of the pedestrian and the perspective of people who are active in their transportation, which includes bus transportation. So we're not experts in transportation, we're not engineers, and if this is what's being recommended for the system, then, and if this is what's being recommended by our own staff who are professionals, in my opinion, this is what we should be doing. I will rebut the free money conversation. It is free money because we will pay into TransLink whether we like it or not. And if TransLink doesn't give us the money to do a project like this, they will give it to someone else. So our money will be going somewhere else. So it is free money. It is money that's, yes, been given to TransLink by all of us and by people from every other jurisdiction. But if we don't take it, it's going to go to somebody else.
A little bit like getting our money back.
This one, exactly. This one, in my opinion, is a real no-brainer because it creates 3 new parking spaces. It creates advertising revenue, which Councillor Cassidy would be so happy about if she were here. And it relates to safety. It reduces the crossing distances. This is very significant, especially for seniors in our community. There are many seniors in this area. And it reduces the speed of right turning vehicles. Same thing, it's an issue of safety for pedestrians. So for this, for me, this is an absolute no-brainer. And I hope that my colleagues agree.
Thank you, Councillor Gambioli. And with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And I'll vote with, and opposed. Well, they didn't agree. So we'll move on. Shall we go? And we could, if members of council don't like these ideas, we could, do you want to make the motion on this? We'll just save time. Well,
So this third one is just the bus bay infill at 22nd and 21st Street. This has been requested, has been suggested to improve transit operations as well as improve sidewalk width for pedestrians. And it's a request of the transit drivers who feel that this will be a safety improvement as from the driver's perspective. It also applied to the previous bus bulges that the drivers feel is a safety improvement for their own operation of the buses. We did do a review of the 25th Street when we were looking at the Pierwell development, and we found that approximately once a year there's a bus collision because of buses pulling into the staging in the parking lane. So I think if you have any more questions or any direction for staff, we appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. O'Sullivan.
Before I make the motion. No more speakers? Okay, so I'll recommend that with project funding from TransLink, staff proceed with the following project recommended in the bus speed and reliability study. Fill in the westbound bus bays at 21st and 22nd Streets.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Okay, the motion fails. And fine.
You're not going to second it?
Well, it's going to fail. Okay, I'll second it. And then I'll call a question. All in favor?
Well, I will reiterate that it's free money. It is our policy, and that we should be looking at it from the perspective of pedestrian safety and public transportation effectiveness. So I'm really disappointed that this is not being supported.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
I'd just like to reinforce that this is not free money, and that, you know, it seems like a silly debate. And I remember this during the Beeline, the great threat, if we didn't accept that, TransLink would just walk away and never fund us again. Well, that's just not regionally ever going to happen. We pay our taxes. What we need to do, as our caller said, you can't just study 4 little stops and think that you're going to be really resolving TransLink study. And I'm going to take this even bigger. 10 years ago, we had a cost benefit study that showed that the North Shore deserves major transit investment, not all these little things that make it look like they're improving our daily lives. And until we step back and really look at our regional transportation system, and if you want to even just look at this corridor and think about serving the West Van through the community, it takes a lot more than improving these little sections. We need a bigger scope. We need to understand, to me, smart technology. Just after I was elected, we went to Quebec City, and they showed us their smart city, where the whole thing, if there's ever a traffic incident, they can light it up so buses can go straight through no matter what, or emergency vehicles. And there's all these systems that we have this technology for, and it's so frustrating to keep coming back to these little Mickey Mouse solutions and think that we're really taking care of our community. So I'm not going to support this, but I will support staff and perhaps council revisiting our transportation plan and policies that were done, what, 14 years ago? Things have really changed in technology and our needs, and we do need to sit back and really think about how we want to improve the circulation of our community.
Thank you. But I already called the question and the motion failed, so.
I was still happy to say my bit.
Okay, I'll do it again. All those in favor? Contrary, the motion is defeated. And finally.
And finally, yeah, I think that staff have just clarification. I needed some clarification on this one.
So the final one is what the transit calls bus stop balancing. The bus stop balancing is a thoughtful removal and or relocation of bus stops along a corridor to achieve consistent spacing, maintain convenient access, and provide faster, more reliable service for users. The bus stops we're considering removing or proposing, initial proposal is on 20th Street, 18th Street, and 15th Street. To minimize the impact on customers, many factors are taken into consideration: accessibility, ridership, transfer points, nearby destinations, physical constraints such as hills, nearby crosswalks, stop amenities like bus shelters and benches, whether or not there's a twin stop across the road, spacing between stops on the route, and impacts to other routes. New stops are also considered where customers may benefit from additional stops, such as areas where there's larger spacing between existing stops. If council approves the stops that are being proposed, there's a 3-step process before the actual stops are removed. So if council approves going forward, the first step is a list of the candidate stops will be shared with users through signs at each bus stop, a partnership with the CNIBC to send emails to members who are in the area. Details are posted on the TransLink website, and on the TransLink website, there's a customer survey it's online. Then after approximately about a 6-week notification and consultation period, the next step is the list. The next step is that there's a trial implementation period where the bus stops are closed for 2 to 3 months. And during that period, feedback continues to be received. And the third step, after the trial period is finished and all the feedback has been received over the full process, is reviewed. The final plan regarding which stops are removed is implemented. Through an iterative process, the final plan tries to balance providing people with close, convenient access to transit and having faster, more reliable service. In more dense urban areas, the recommended bus stop spacing is approximately 300 meters. Between 13th and 22nd Street, all the distances between bus stops are less than 300 meters. With the exception of between 20th and 18th Street, the eastbound stops between 14th and 11th Street, which are over 300 meters. The shortest bus stop spacing is between eastbound stop at 21st Street and 20th Street, with there's only 90 meters between bus stops. I'd like to ask council if they have any questions about the bus stop balancing and if they support the recommendation that.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. I hate to tell you on this one, I think it's not broken, so not really sure why we want to fix it. Councilor Gambier.
I do have a question though, before I make the motion. If you could you go back to that map for a second with the graph? So all of the red ones, numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, seem to have the lowest numbers, but they're all in the westbound direction. So
through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, so these are the boarding numbers at each stop from TransLink data from their Compass Card tap-on. So this is, and as you move further west, there's fewer people boarding the bus because there's fewer destinations as you go further west, as composed of travelers coming eastbound boarding the bus or heading to Vancouver, to North Vancouver, to Park Royal. So you'll see higher tap-ons at bus stops as you move in the eastbound direction.
I see. Okay, so when you say select eastbound and westbound stops, which ones are you specifically talking about?
So the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, from the bus stop and reliability study, the recommended stops were both eastbound, westbound at 15th, eastbound, westbound at 18th, and eastbound and westbound at 20th Street.
Okay. Okay, so I can see that, like, I would be interested in supporting some of these, but not all of those, so it's a little bit tough because it's not teased out quite enough. But again, I guess, like you say, it's a bit of a process.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I will recommend that with project funding from TransLink, staff proceed with the following project recommended in the bus speed and reliability study. Remove select eastbound and westbound bus stops.
Thanks very much. Is there a seconder? If there's no seconder, the motion fails. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Mr. O'Sullivan. Thanks for your patience with us. We'll move to item number 8, the bylaws, proposed zoning bylaw 4662, a 2010 amendment bylaw 5399, 2025. Councillor Thompson, please.
No reports or presentation?
No, this is
Okay.
just the, this is the
Okay.
result of the public
Okay,
hearing.
yep. So I'd like to propose that zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5399, 2025 be read a first time.
Thank you, Councillor Snyder. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion's carried. Councillor Thompson.
I'd like to recommend that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5399, 2025 be read a second time.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion's carried. Councillor Thompson.
And finally, the proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5399, 2025 be read a third time.
Thank you, Council. Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Gambioli, please.
So I just wanted to comment briefly about the issue of removing essentially what is now zoned as rental and moving it into, high-end strata condos and the resulting CACs. So it's my concern and that of a number of people who have written to us that losing that rental tenure is significant, and that because if this motion is finally approved, that we will be receiving upwards of $13 million in CACs back to the district, and that some of that funding should be put towards affordable housing projects in the future. So I'm going to make a recommendation for a motion in that regard after this.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
I'll hold my comment, please.
Okay, Councillor Watt.
Yeah, I have a comment to Councillor Gambioli's proposed recommendation.
But we're on
Okay.
this motion though.
Yeah, no, that's it then.
Okay, I'm going to call a question on this motion. All those in favor? Contrary, carried. And Councillor Gambioli wish to make an additional, do you want a notice of motion or a motion, Councillor Gambioli?
I'm told by staff that the appropriate time to do it is now,
Okay,
so I'll do it now.
thank you.
So the motion I would like to recommend is that 50% of the community amenity contributions from the zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5399, 2025, when received, be placed into the district's affordable housing reserve fund to create purpose-built affordable rental housing near public transportation, employment, and services.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seeing no seconder, the motion fails. I totally agree and sympathize with the concept. I just feel that this is something that needs far more council discussion, and I think using some of those funds to purchase additional property might be very wise. But I don't think it's tonight that we do that. But there is no further discussion as the motion didn't get a seconder. So could I go to item 8.1, please, Councillor Thompson?
I'd like to recommend that proposed phase development agreement authorized by law 4041.
Sorry, I think you mean 5041.
Sorry, 5041.
Thank you.
2019 amendment by law 5400 2025 be read a second and third time.
Q&A discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary carried. And I wanted to make a comment earlier, and I'm going to address this more fully at our next council meeting. But we hear from the provincial government many occasions how West Vancouver doesn't do its fair share on housing, and how there's this perception that everyone is opposed to future developments in our community. And yet at the public hearing earlier tonight, there was no one who spoke in opposition. And what we witnessed was a proposal that received very thoughtful work by our municipal staff, by our planning committee, and through the public process. And that's what I'm afraid we're going to lose with this fiat that the province is directing at us. I think West Vancouver has done a wonderful job in addressing housing needs, maybe not perfectly, but I'll address it more fully. But I just thought that tonight was a perfect example of a thoughtful, intelligent approach to development. Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
I also wanted to make some comments because we had for the first time actually, since I've been on council, a debate around the approval of a project seemed to base more around the CACs than the project itself. And I thought it was very clever that the mayor qualified. That's what they were there to do. But, when the arts community shows up and you've got council representatives and communities saying, you need to slot the money in to make this a priority. I don't want the public to think that we diminished our interest in the arts or diminished it in providing the housing we need. But it's such a volatile community, and we can't tie up money specifically for something when an opportunity for something else is well needed. If it comes along. We've also got, I believe we're going to be addressing some climate change, big mitigation, foreshore protection issues, and we just have to stay really fluid. But again, it doesn't diminish our commitment to housing or the arts or whatever we need in this community.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Gambioli.
Well, since we're all talking now that the motion's been made, I would agree that no, I would actually say that although this application was, yes, a thoughtful process, because staff have to be thoughtful when they deal with applications. Really, this is not new housing. This is rental housing, which is being changed to strata housing. This is not new housing. And we have agreed, the majority of us have just agreed that we're actually not going to even use any of the funds that are coming out of this transaction to put it into new affordable housing. So I don't know.
Well,
I put that
Councillor
out there.
Gambioli, I don't think that's fair to say, because I think it's just the timing as to when that discussion should take place. Not that it shouldn't happen.
We can disagree, but this was the time to make
Okay,
make that decision clearly, so.
thank you. Councillor Snyder.
Yeah, I would have to strongly disagree with Councillor Gambioli on this. We've not decided not to use the monies towards affordable housing at all. But what you've asked was to pigeonhole and guarantee that a certain amount of money be used for that purpose when there are many other reasons. We heard from the art community today. We know from the, I think for us here at council tonight, who was not actually addressing an issue about the actual CACs, it was a proposal that was our bylaw that was being discussed, not how the CACs were going to be used, to make a decision on the fly, how those monies are going to be used. We're not precluded from using any of that $13 million towards affordable housing in the future. But what it does leave, it leaves us the availability and the flexibility to address the needs of West Vancouver, whatever they may be, and use those monies appropriately. So I think that by setting it guaranteed in a certain fund, actually handcuffs us from, being more responsible.
So, and as I said earlier tonight, I think this council has taken bold steps with regards to zoning property that will very likely be for affordable housing beside the fire station is showing our desire to address that need. Councillor Watt.
And as Councillor Snyder said, making a decision like this on the fly, I mean, that's certainly something that I'm also uncomfortable with. And also, this council approved the formation of a Finance and Revenue Committee comprised of experts from across our municipality. And when we're sitting here talking about 13 million and wanting to put it toward a certain cause, be it an art center or affordable housing, without even having a conversation or bringing this kind of situation before the Finance and Revenue Committee, I'm extremely uncomfortable with. I feel that we should be taking our time when looking at uses for that kind of money, and also consulting with some of the experts and looking for some of their advice. We don't have to take it, but that's why we formed the committee.
Well, it has been
One
a
of the
nice debate
reasons,
after the
but-
motion's been made.
Yeah.
So we'll, if we may, I'm going to move on and ask Councillor Watt if you would be kind enough to move the consent agenda items.
Yeah, I'm just going to move them as written.
Thank you.
if
Is there a
that's
seconder?
okay.
Councillor Lambert. Thank you. Any discussion? Call a question. Those in favor? Contrary, carried. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll go to item number 11. Councillor Thompson, please.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend
It's a fairly long.
Yes.
agenda. I'll accept it as written.
this recommendation for the staff consider the following improvements for Lower Caulfield Heritage Conservation guidelines and procedures as written.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. Any discussion? Call a question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you. Item number 12, late night operation, Councillor Snyder.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to recommend that staff prepare a report for consideration at an upcoming meeting regarding prohibiting the operation of fast food outlets past 12 p.m. midnight.
I'll second that.
Where are we going to eat? I'll call a question. All in favor? Sorry, Councillor Gambioli.
Could someone just tell me how it was arrived at, like midnight? Why was midnight
I have
chosen?
no idea, Councillor Snyder.
Yeah, I don't know why it was, I assume that it'd still be for discussion upon receiving some sort of report from staff on whether or not, that be an appropriate time or not. I don't know where the 12 o'clock came. I believe this was a recommendation that did come through staff, because I don't believe any of us brought it forward as a notice of motion, but I know that, there has been some correspondence received about some fast food establishments being open, throughout all hours of the evening, I believe till 4 a.m. in the morning, disturbing local neighborhoods. So I'm assuming that staff will be able to address what they would recommend in that regards. I see the person that would probably address this just stepped into the room. I don't know if he
Let's
wants
not
to
put him on
comment
the
on
spot
it.
for
I don't want to
tonight.
put him on the spot.
No, that's not fair.
Okay, well, I mean, as long as staff are going to be able to explain in the report why midnight or why another time, I'm just
Yeah,
curious to know
this
why
is just
that
ask
number.
for a staff report. We'll find out how much of an issue it really is.
Okay.
Thanks very much. On council reports, I would just like to express.
Did we vote on that? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, question. All those in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you. Reports from mayor and council. I'd just like to take a moment and express on behalf of all of us on council our sincere thanks to the ADBIA for hosting the Dunderab Hoedown, which was an enormous success and really adds to our community, and also to all of the volunteers over 45 years who have hosted the Coho Festival. Really great. And it was fun to flip salmon with the members of council who were able to show up, and very successful day. Any other reports from anyone? Hearing none, are there any public questions or comments tonight? And hearing none.
Yes, Mayor Sager, I apologize. We
Oh,
do have
sorry.
one member of the public that signed up to speak to this item.
Sorry.
Yeah, Neil Carroll.
Mr. Carroll. Of course, you're always welcome to join us. It's nice to see you.
You too, sir. Thank you. Neil Carroll, resident of West Vancouver. I'm here to relay some information and some questions representing Hollyburn Sailing Club. The Commodore couldn't be here tonight, but I was Commodore 20 years ago, so I'm a general chief cook and bottle washer. But the item I'd like to bring to your attention is the effect of pay parking in Ambleside Park. To give a brief background about Hollyburn Sailing Club, we train between 600 and 700 children, kids a year. In order to do that, we have about 18 to 20 instructors. And unlike other sports and recreation groups, we are kind of anchored to one location on the beach, not like soccer teams that can go elsewhere or tennis or whatever. So we are rooted geographically to Ambleside Park. Now, to educate or to train those 700 kids, those 18 instructors between the ages of something like 18 to 22 drive to Ambleside Park and have to park for between 4 and 5 hours while they get the kids out in the water for a couple of hours. And that is a hurdle that is faced by any volunteers at Hollyburn or any other location there. And the $5 per hour rate that these instructors, and basically basing on the idea of the UBC student who's doing some training during the summer, making up a couple of bucks or whatever. The $5 per hour makes it prohibitive when they're just slightly above, basic wage rate. And 5 hours times $5 would be an hour and a half of work that they do that would basically be fed back to the municipality. So the sailing club has tried to contact the municipality. I have mentioned, it was mentioned to me today in a phone call that they have emailed, but they're unclear. It may be their fault. It may be some balls being dropped in the middle, but they are unclear as to how to proceed. And they're exceedingly, I'd say, alarmed at the effect that it could have on next year's program. And that's where I would
Mr.
leave
Carroll,
it.
I think it'd be really interesting to have a follow-up discussion on this and look at the timing. Are these people that are participating through the winter, or is this a summer issue?
Good question. The people who are participating during the winter are usually the serious racers. And we've got a racing team that represents BC in some international competitions, but they tend to be in the numbers of 10 or 12 races, not the 700 kids during summer, but a dozen or a couple of dozen serious cold water races. So there's some impact there. And also there are social events that are in and around the park and the sailing clubs, such as the walking groups that meet there and come back for coffee and so on Saturday morning. And it struck me when I was looking at the entire impact of this pay parking in the park, is that we measure, I'm an engineer and we love to measure things, and you can measure things such as queuing size and so on. What you miss is the people who look at the size of a queue or look at the cost of a parking or look at whatever and turn away and don't go. And are never measured, never included. And those escape the view of staff and so on, because you don't measure the people who have decided not to do it. So another concept, another thing to think about is the decline in the encouragement to do social things in the park. That this $5 an hour thing. And I'm speaking on behalf of North Vancouver as well as, West Vancouver unregistered, but
Of course,
a lot
the West Van residents pay nothing.
that's
So-
right.
So
But a lot of our trainers, a lot of our people who participate in the Coho Festival, as you mentioned yesterday, one of the people who were dishing out the salmon was a councillor from North Van District.
Oh, there were quite a few from North Van,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So we have an outlook that says we are friendly to all of our partners in the North Shore. I'm sure we have that philosophy. Anyway, so that's the consideration is not just directly on the trainers and the cold water races, but the social people who I think it comes. The parking regime is until 10 o'clock at night. Am I mistaken there?
I don't know what time I don't think they go that, the pay parking will go till 9, Ms. Muller? Does it go, what are
To
the
the mayor,
hours?
7 to 10.
It is 10.
The hours, it
10
it
o'clock.
coincides with the park hours.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Yeah. So for example, if we are running a social event at Hollywood Sailing Cup for whatever, or anyone else is doing that, until 10 o'clock at night, you're paying $5 an hour. I can tell you that will discourage a lot of people from attending social events. Maybe we're skinflints, but put yourself in the position of people driving there.
Well, this is going to be an interesting discussion, and certainly I know council, without us getting into a long debate tonight about it, don't want to discourage the volunteerism that is so prevalent in our community. And so we'll have to address that. But we have a lot of underutilized parking, and this is something that I, as a person who has a parking lot with 40 stalls in it that sit empty a lot of the time, I'm looking at how they could be better utilized to help all of the businesses and our community in general. So I don't think we'll have an answer for you tonight, but we appreciate your thoughts and your input, and we will be discussing it.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Anyone else this evening who wishes to address council on any subject? And hearing none, Councillor Watt, would you like to move adjournment?
Yes, I would like to. I would like to recommend that the September 8, 2025 regular council meeting be adjourned.
Thank you, Councillor Snyder. All those in favor? Contrary carried. Thanks very much for joining us this evening, everyone.
I shouldn't have to read that.